This time of the year is very special to me. I really like the early arrival of night, and I like the long nights. Though in my basic nature, I'm kind of a sun worshiper, sun follower, there's a specialness of the holiness of night. And it's an opportunity for us to concentrate on our inner light. And that inner light uh, is something pretty special because it's like a reflected light off the moon. It's wisdom work, where we don't work in the harsh glare of sunlight for our intellectual pursuits, but there's a time to reflect and work in reflected wisdom light. And that's an important thing because it's an opportunity also to use our imagination in ways that are a little bit different. You know, I'm a small-time student in church history, and mostly with regard to the development of our text. And it's a fascinating study because one of the things that you pretty quickly learn is that the text that we look at every day has been developing for a long time. And that's a key word, developing. Because the earliest traces of the story of Genesis go farther back than the Genesis that we read today. There are ancient sources that are remembered, and they are tales that have been retold and retold and retold. And in the telling of these tales and the writing of them down, there's been some, what I would call creative theology to try and make applied that tries to make sense of these tales and how they're understood. And I think it's opportunity for imagination. And it's imagination that is devoted to our own practice. How can we imagine who we are and where we came from and where we're going? And do that knowing that we've done our wilderness work and we've understood our emotional life through our gaze at beauty. And with those two guardrails to help us stay focused and balanced, I think it's important then we can begin our own imaginal search for the history that is part of the history that we are going to be following with, following through, following in. And it's a fact of enacting something creative that springs from our historical roots that takes us into the ever expanding creation of the cosmos. And that's an important consideration because the cosmos is not static. It's not standing still. Nor does it expect us to stand still. The texts have evolved and evolved and evolved. One of my most recent readings is the idea of where did the idea of Trinity really come from? And how is it that the idea of Trinity was so easily understood and established and practiced? Now, there's something to be said about having to recite the doctrines of the church every Sunday in a creedal statement. I guess you wonder, do they think you're going to forget? You know, they're so worried about it. There seems to be a concern there. But to the larger point, you know, I want to give one example of the work that I've been doing, and that's understanding the early teachings of the name of God and Michael and Gabriel. And so we have Yeshua and Michael and Gabriel. And there is a rudimentary understanding of the Trinity coming to us far beyond what the texts show. And there's linguistic roots in understanding it this way. I mean, I'm not just saying this because it's sort of made up stuff. I mean, there are absolutely reasons to begin to understand that this is pretty likely. And it's the likelihood of the process of understanding our own faith and the creation and movement of the cosmos. And the cosmos is, in my mind, demanding that we use our imagination to go beyond what we knew before. And you can engage in a lot of look-backism, and you can try and stick to the things that you see and hear, but really I think the call is for a movement, a shift in our thinking and our imagination to begin to understand new ways to apply the things that we have learned, new ways to understand the experiences that we've had. And these are critical things, and this is a night work. It is the reflected work of wisdom, Sophia. Think about that word and its implications in the work that we do, Sophia. That's a powerful idea. And as I've said, that idea of Sophia is with us today. And if you read the texts carefully, you can see and hear in the text, which was about the baptism of Yeshua, that there is a voice which says, "This is my Son, whom I am well pleased." Now, who might that be in your imagination? That might be Sophia, the female voice, the mother's voice. And it's that ability to imagine that outcome, that understanding, that is so powerful and precious. The freeing of our imagination, that's the thing that I feel like was accomplished at the Last Supper with the cup. And that cup of imagination is one that we must drink deeply from to understand how to stay with and evolve with the cosmos as it evolves in our life every second of the day and even beyond the day. So the cosmos is not stopping, and it's not asking us to stop. And there's a wonderful idea. Don't stop imagining. The cosmos is calling us to put into practice our imagination. So our imagination, bounded by our wilderness experience and moral clarity and our experience with beauty and emotional clarity, are the keys to having our imagination bring forth something quite remarkable and quite healing and helpful, and a revealing of the true nature of creation and our place in it, and our place in the divine hierarchy, as we look to the North Star, to see our orientation, to understand where we look, as we float on the divine sea beneath the heavenly dome. Amen.